Hey guys, welcome back to another Division video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at this build that I made revolving around the St. Elmo's engine, the new exotic rifle that came in the last update. It's a assault rifle that has ability to shock enemies once you reach 100 stacks. Now you reach 100 stacks by shooting enemies. So after that you get ammo that you could use to shock enemies. Alright, and that is the main weapon for the build. I'm using Big Show as my sub weapon, but feel free to use other weapons as well. You know, it may be Cabaret if you haven't leveled that one up. But this one has like perfect Thunder Strike. I think, you know, other weapons would work well too, as long as you have like Thunder Strike as the talent. Now for the sidearm, it doesn't really matter, but the concept is pretty simple. This build is a skill build. I just stacked status effects and skill damage throughout all the pieces in this gear. Also, we are wearing 3 pieces of Brazos de Arcabuz so that we activate this third piece bonus of 20% magazine size. That will increase the amount of shock ammo that we get from St. Elmo, so we could shock more enemies. And I decided to go for Vial for the mask so that every time we shock enemies, we are dealing some damage to them over time. Really nice, and it's a really fun build. I've been using it for the past few days. And for the other pieces, I have here 2 pieces that give us 10% status effects. This one is electrique, the other one is golan gear. So that is it. That is the build. So yeah, that is the concept for the build. We are using St. Elmo to shock enemies. We have like 3 pieces of Brazos de Arcabuz, so we get that extra ammo capacity, or actually magazine capacity. For the skills, I'm using turret with tamper proof, so we throw out our turret. I'm using the flamethrower turret. It deals status effects, burn damage, really nice. Fits well with the rest of the build because, you know, skill damage and status effects. For the other skill, I'm using shock trap, skill tier 6, so the entire large portion of the area is have like shock traps and really strong, right? We're very strong. Every time a enemy walks near a trap, they get shocked, they get damaged by Vial as well. So, you know, enemies are getting crowd control a lot of times. And my suggestion is that to save, once you reach that 100 stacks and you got that extra shock ammo on your St. Elmo, just save the ammo, shoot some enemies. If you happen to shoot a group of enemies, the talent that we have here in the backpack is Creeping Death, I think. This means that when we shock a single enemy, or maybe burn a single enemy, right, it will spread to all enemies within 8 meters. I think this will work well if you have a friend that, you know, plays with you. Your other friend has like DPS spec, you know, critical hit damage and critical hit chance, assault rifle damage, or whatever weapon he is using. But I imagine that if the your teammate, your friend, uses a Cabaret or maybe a Big Show, that is really nice, you know, so they don't have to worry about shocking enemies too much. You do all the shocking and they just deal more, 40% more damage. So let's talk about the items. First up, the weapon. Main weapon for the build is the St. Elmo's engine. The stats that I have here is assault rifle damage, health damage, critical hit chance, although it doesn't really matter too much because this is a skill build. Talent of this gun is Actum Est. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will give you 1 stack. So you have to hit an enemy. At 100 stacks, the next magazine will be filled with shock ammo. So it depends. If you have like higher capacity for your magazine, you will get more ammo. So that's why we are wearing the 3-piece Brazos de Arcabuz. Now for the secondary weapon, I'm using a Big Show, but you don't really have to use this one. I suggest that use a gun that has like perfect Thunder Strike as the talent. It could be Cabaret, but right now I'm maxed out on my Cabarets. That's why I'm using Big Show, but as you can see, it's already maxed out too. For the sidearm, you could use whatever sidearm you want. Okay, so for the armor pieces, for the mask, I'm using Vial. This is an exotic mask that has like status effects, hazard protection. I put a skill haste mod here, and the talent is toxic delivery. Status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds. So, you know, if you blind enemies, if you shock enemies, whatever status effect that you put to enemies, they get a debuff, and the total damage dealt is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade damage and increased by your status effect attributes. Now, we don't have anything that increases our concussion grenade damage, but we are stacking status effects. Okay, so for a chest piece, I'm still using the same chest piece from the past videos that I did. This is the electrique chest piece. It has the brand set bonus of 10% status effects, very nice. The core attribute is skill tier, so you don't have to reroll this one. The secondary attribute that we have here is skill damage, status effects, and then I put a skill haste mod. And then lastly, the talent, still tamper proof. Enemies that walk within 3 meters of your hive, turret, or remote pulse are shocked. Okay, so for the holster, I'm using a Brazos de Arcabuz. You could also use a Picaro's holster, something with status effects, something like this, or maybe skill damage. Just reroll the core attribute into skill tier, and you have weapon damage here. But I decided to use this one because it's easier for me to, I already have the item. The brand set bonus is first, 10% skill haste. The second one is +1 skill tier, and the last one is 20% magazine size. Now, the reason for this is, it's not really used a lot, but for the shock ammo that we get from St. Elmo's engine, this bonus right here affects it. So we get 20% more ammo or shock ammo for our St. Elmo's engine. So very nice. Okay, so for the backpack, I'm using another Brazos de Arcabuz. This time it will activate the second brand set bonus of +1 skill tier right here. The core attribute that I have is armor. The secondary attribute is skill damage, skill haste. However, ideally you want status effects instead of skill haste. Alright, keep that in mind. And then the talent that I have here is creeping death. When you apply a status effect, it's also applied to all enemies within 8 meters of your target. So a single shock bullet from your St. Elmo, if enemies are grouped up within 8 meters, they will get shocked. Very fun, and I suggest that you definitely try out this talent if you haven't. Now for the gloves, I'm using a golan gear. This gives us the brand set bonus is 10% status effects. So immediately you get like 10% status effects, which is really nice. And then you want to reroll the core attribute into skill tier because this armor piece is rolling armor by default. So you want to reroll the core attribute into skill tier, and then after that just worry about trying to get status effects and skill damage. Lastly, for the knee pads, I'm using another Brazos de Arcabuz. This will activate the third set bonus, which is 20% magazine size. Very important for our St. Elmo's engine. The core attribute that this item has is armor, so no need to reroll that. Just worry about the secondary attribute of status effects and skill damage. Okay, so for the skills, I'm using a turret. The incinerator version of the turret, the one that shoots flame like a flamethrower. The mods that I have here is 10% health, 5% burn damage, and 7.5 skill haste. Now for the other skill, I'm using a trap. This is the shock trap. Alright, and the mods that I have here is 5% duration and 7.5 shock rages. Okay, so for the specialization, I'm using Technician just for that extra skill tier. Just worry about trying to get this one amped. It gives you +1 skill tier. Now, before we go to the shooting range, let's take a quick look at the stats. We have here 39.5 critical hit chance and a 65% critical hit damage, but this is not a weapon build. So let's take a look at the skills. We have skill tier 6 turret, 64.6 skill haste, 33-second cooldown, and the duration is 25 seconds, 5,600,000 health and 48,000 damage. The range is 15. The burn damage is 200,000 and the burn duration is 10 seconds. All right, those are the stats for the assault turret incinerator, and the other one is the trap, right? The shock trap. Skill tier 6, 64 skill haste, 36 second cooldown. The traps are 16. The shock radius is 4.2. Shock duration is 8 seconds, and the entire duration of the skill is 65 seconds. Okay, so here we are at the shooting range. Let me talk about a few of the talents here. Starting off with the weapon, which is the Saint Elmo's engine. The talent is Actum Est. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will give you 1 stack. So let me show you how that works. So you can see here at the bottom, I will zoom in. That is the Saint Elmo's Actum Est icon. I will shoot at this enemy here, and once you're shooting, it gets filled up. So when it's fully filled up, that means it's 100 stacks. But you don't immediately get the shock ammo yet. But I could like empty this one here. But our next reload, I will reload now, and I will zoom in. As you can see, there's an icon next to the normal ammo. Now that we have that icon there, that means that every shot we do is shock ammo. As you can see, I just shoot that enemy for a couple of times. The enemy will get shocked. Now, keep in mind that enemies that are elite has like some sort of resistance to status effects. But a normal enemy like this one usually gets shocked around 6 seconds. Let's count. 001, 002, 003, 004, 005, and 006. Maybe 007, maybe 7 seconds, but I would say that's around like 6 seconds. Okay, so let's talk about the second talent for the build. This is the one on the mask. We are done with the weapon. This is the talent that we get from Vial. This is Toxic Delivery. Status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds, and that damage is equal to your 50% equal to your concussion grenade, but it's also increased by status effects. So we're stacking a bunch of status effects on our gear. So I will shoot this enemy and inflict shock. Let's look at the damage tick. Right now, the vial damage right there on the side, it's 58,000, right? Okay, so for the next talent, we're going to be talking about the talent on the chest piece, which is tamper proof. Enemies that walk within 3 meters of your hive turret or remote pulse are shocked. All right, the arm time is 2 seconds and the cooldown is 10 seconds. So there is a training dummy there, and there's a box. I will throw my turret there in the box, kind of near that training dummy, and there's an arm time, and wait for it, it will get shocked. There you go. Okay, so for the last talent that we're going to be talking about for this build, this is the talent from the backpack, Creeping Death. When you apply a status effect, this also is applied to all enemies within 8 meters of your target. So we have a group of enemies here, right? And I'm going to shoot it with my Saint Elmo gun. Notice that everyone gets shocked and everyone gets that Toxic Delivery debuff that comes from Vial that deals 58,000 damage per second. Anyways, guys, that is the build. I think it's a pretty good build. I've been using this build to level up my Saint Elmo. Right now, I'm proficient. A very fun build. It's very fun to just shock enemies over and over again with the Saint Elmo. Keep in mind that the shock duration that Saint Elmo inflicts is affected by status effects. So this version of the build stacks status effects and skill damage. I don't think this is anything special, but I think this is like also been done by other players, because Brazos de Arcabas third brand set bonus is 20% more ammo. So you want more ammo. So I don't know if this build is anything new, but I really enjoy it, and throwing in Vial in this build is really fun. It helps to kind of like even out the damage that we lost from stacking too much skill tier and skill damage, no weapon damage. But every time we inflict a status effect, for example our trap, Vial does trigger, and everyone gets that debuff over time. Anyways, that is the build. If you have any suggestions on how to improve the build, leave a comment below. I would be doing alternating between viewer build and my build moving forward. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.